Welcome to 100 Days of Making Cyberpunks. What is this, week 2? It seems like I've been doing this forever already. So it's a pretty rough week, but I managed to get quite a bit of work done. There's some problem areas though. If you look under the thumb and the drawing, I'm caught up with my thumbnails. So I know what happens over the next 4 pages. I just haven't figured out exactly how I'm gonna tell what happens. And if I decide to put these out into floppies, this will be the first few pages of the second floppy. So, because I'm gonna do them in pages of 24, since each, vignette is 8 pages. So the next little problem, you'll notice that I'm behind in the vectors. I only did 1 page this week. Though one of the pages I did was I had to redo that 1 page that I did from last week, but also my scanner's been down, and so I always do all my scanning at the library. And so I scanned 10 pages this week, so I did, even though I only finished 1 page, I did the setup, and I put the line drawing or the ink drawings into all the files and plopped all the gutters down. So I did a little bit of work on 10 different pages instead of finishing a second page. But I am now ahead on covers. I only need to finish a cover every 4 weeks, not every week. And I finished the cover to number 2. So I'm ahead on that, and I did 4 pages of lettering, so I did twice as much lettering as I need to do. So I think that was a pretty productive week. Also, you'll notice that on the spreadsheet that I put down what the goals are. So this will also help me for when I have weird weeks like this to make sure that I'm staying on task. So as you can see with the covers, I only need to have 4 done by the end of the 100 days. So, being at 2 already is really easy. The covers are going to be very minimalist. So they're actually very fast to do. So there's that. Okay, and to kind of pad up this video some, and the reason I'm not doing this as a live cast is I wanted to show you the page that I had to redo, and hopefully I have my files in the right order so that way it doesn't throw me off when I'm recording the audio for this. For those of you who are not familiar with Illustrator, this is how I work. See here the head was too high, so you can see where the line on the middle figure, I brought it down some because the proportions were kind of off. Because the nice thing about basically redrawing everything in Illustrator is that I can be very loose with the ink stage, and so then I can decide what to keep expressive and what to keep what to try to make more accurate. I almost gave away something, but but I do have other techniques of dealing with it, to keeping things in proportion and stuff if I really wanted to be a stickler about it. But I figure with there being filters that can imitate different art styles, that I should just embrace my any flaws I have, and that's how a style is developed, is by embracing those. So it looks like I jumped ahead from doing all the background figures that are going to be in shadow to work on this guy, I haven't even decided what I want to keep secret and what I want to keep public. So I had all the characters in the book have code names. They're not really superhero names. They're more, I shouldn't call them code names. They're basically just nicknames. Like this guy's name is Sweetfoot. And his real name is an alliteration, but I'll leave it just on the off chance that someone watches this video and reads the comic and it's like, oh yeah, didn't he say that his name's an alliteration? And then have them try to figure out what it is. So I like to do that. Like usually when I name a character, well, I shouldn't say usually, but about half the time, the character has that name for a particular reason. 'Cause, like, there's some kind of pun involved with their name or something, which will be the case with this guy. I really should be talking more about the process. But here I'm trying to eliminate line. See, the original drawings have line in them, but all that's going to be represented where the line is the color fills and then and the shadows. So I have to go in, and in some places I add details. I just put the bare minimum in the drawings that I'll need to figure out where to put the vector shapes in. So yeah, this in my screen capture software I can only get like 30 seconds at a time, so that's why it's pretty janky the way that I capture this. So yeah, see, there's no lines here at all, but I have enough here to where they're notes to myself. So that's also why I don't work with scripts. I can just work with my thumbnails with, notes in the margin, is because I know I'm doing all the work. Nobody else has to decipher this stuff but me. And so yeah, I just put things in there loosely to get it done, and then I can go and add more detail or tighten it up when I'm in the vector stage. Now this could come to bite me in the ass because I'm doing another comic that's colored in vector but not actually vector drawn, and so working loose on that it's like kind of more obvious when I make mistakes. So there, and again, there's that fine line between a mistake and style. So and here I'm putting in a shape. That shape is actually a highlight. See, but a lot of times I'll draw. I'm actually doing this for your benefit here. I'll usually draw everything with the outline and no fills, so it'll all be these squiggly lines that nobody would ever be able to make any sense of but me. So this is actually a little bit different than how I normally work. So yeah, what I try to do is I focus on the biggest shape first, because that way it'll be on the bottom in the stack. Because when you're working in vectors, it's like, imagine doing cutouts of construction paper, and whatever one you cut out first, you put down on the table, and then the next one you cut out and put down, it's going to be on top of the one that you just put down. So you can change the order, but it can get very confusing if you work with the idea that you're going to change the order later. And also, when you're working, you might accidentally select something that you didn't. Oh wait, no, I actually kind of said that backwards. The time you don't want to work that way is when you're being careful that you don't want to select something below what you're working on. And but yeah, it can create all sorts of problems if you're working with characters, with a bunch of different characters at once, because like you try to send something to the back, and sometimes if two characters are next to each other and they share the same color, the shape, I'll do one cutout for both, but that'll create problems when you're rearranging things later. So I try not to do that, and on this piece it was pretty easy. I don't remember if I actually do this or... Oh, yeah, I do, but I don't remember if I have a capture for it. But another thing with the composition on this piece, I gave myself a lot of room. Part of that's for dialogue. Originally, this page was going to have like little diagrams of all their... like the narration was going to be diagnoses of all their cybernetics, and I'm not sure I'm going to do that now. The dialogue's kind of taken on a different tone than I originally planned on it having, so that's a factor. But also Oh, the other reason for the composition this way is that the characters are very separate, so it's going to be it's going to be easy for me to like scale them, you know, to make the composition better. Because it's sort of like the perfect is the enemy of good thing, where or it's better to have something finished than have it be perfect. So, and that's sort of my philosophy, because I change. Since you don't see any of the original art in the final, you know, I can work as loose as I want on the line drawing. Yeah, so this is the piece that I had done, and then didn't save, and I actually don't remember now if I lost it because of a Windows reboot, but now you see all the work that I had to redo this week. So I'll see you guys next week.